welcome everybody to the Magic Beans. This is Chewy with you, and we've got something a little bit different today. We've got an Evergreen episode for you, so the next installment of that series, which is a series targeted at newer players and covering the fundamentals of the game based on, our experience. So hopefully there's a few snippets of that you can get along the way. And I'm also recording this for YouTube. So it's been a little while since we've done some dedicated YouTube stuff. So if you are listening to this through the podcast, through your normal means, you can check it out and actually see what I'm showing and have a look at my, somewhat aging features in, whatever resolution it goes up in. So, we are going to talk today about what to bring to a paper Magic tournament, because it has been a minute since we've been able to go to paper Magic tournaments. We've had a year like no other, or a little bit longer, but at least here in Australia we've got a vaccine that's rolling out, and things are starting to look on the up and up for actual Magic tournaments to start again in hopefully the not too distant future. We've seen some in-store events run with some restrictions, and things are great. In that space, it's really good to see some numbers back at our local game stores. Support your LGS, it's really good. And hopefully that means that other events like PTQs and bigger events like that are not too far away. So based on my experience of that PTQ, maybe even a GP level experience, I just wanted to share what I would take to one of these events. But before we delve into that, I just want to have a bit of a shout out to our sponsor, which is Josh and Pat's MTG Bazaar. Josh and Pat's are a Facebook auction group. They're great. You can search them up. Just search for Josh and Pat's MTG Bazaar. If you're watching on YouTube, the link will scroll on the bottom here, or Shorty will put it in the show notes. Thanks, Shorty. And you can look up those guys, bid on physical Magic cards that you can take to your events that we're going to talk about today. And you can pick up some really great deals. They are auctions. They put up auctions every day, and like 100 cards a night go up. Full-time auctioneer. They do a great job, run a really tight ship there. And when you do pick up a bargain, make sure you tell them that the Beans sent you, because they sponsor our podcast, they sponsor our leagues, and all of the things that we do here at the Beans. And supporting them supports us, and we keep this free content and free events with prizes, tournament series, all the rest of it going up. So shout out to Josh and Pat's. So I wanted to talk about a typical Magic tournament that you would go to, and what you would need to do to be prepared. So the first thing you need, I guess, is you got to have a deck to play and a store to play it in, and all the rest of it. But when you're actually packing the night before or the morning of, or depending on how organised you are, you need some sort of bag. So I got this faux leather. It's like a laptop bag essentially. I like the shoulder strap type bags, because you can easily put them on your lap. Everything's secure. It's not getting kicked by anybody or anything like that. It's just I prefer that. Some people prefer a backpack. There's no really right or wrong. If you like one or the other, that's great. Whatever works for you, then that is what I recommend for you. So I've gone for something that's not too big. I want it just big enough to be able to carry what I need without being too cumbersome. And if you have a bigger bag, you tend to fill it up, and then you get all lopsided because it's heavy. So just find something that works for you. I like something with a bunch of pockets, and like to be a little bit organised. So a laptop bag is a great choice for your Magic cards, as long as they're sort of broad enough. They've got enough width to be able to fit a deck box and things like that. So number one, a bag. Pretty obvious. What do we put in it? Well, obviously need our deck. We need a deck to play, right? And that should be in a deck box. And there are countless types of deck boxes out there. Anything that's not an elastic band is generally pretty good for a deck box. I like these things. They're the believe they are the Ultimate Guard boulders, because you can get the sorry for those listening on online, not in the YouTube video. The Ultimate Guard boulder is something that I think is great, because it's a great way to organize all of your decks, and they're nice and hard and rigid, as you can see in here. And I've got my deck and my sideboard in there. These things also fit a commander deck as well, so there's plenty of room in those. So make sure you got your deck with you. It seems really simple, but I have seen on more than one occasion people arrive at a Magic tournament, register, pay their entry fee, and then realize they've forgotten their deck. I've also seen a particular bean leave a Magic tournament without their deck as well. So always make sure you've got that with you. It's pretty important. They're often expensive, often include borrowed cards as well. So do make sure you've got your deck with you. So that's very, very important. The next thing, inside your deck box, you need a few things. Obviously, inside your deck box, you need your deck and your sideboard. But chuck in some spare sleeves as well, because sleeves get damaged. There's a lot of shuffling that happens in the course of a tournament, and that could be, especially in older formats where you've got fetch lands, a lot of shuffling, or a longer event where there's just a lot of games played. So have 3 or 4 spare sleeves in case you split one, because if you've got to pull things off your sideboard and stuff, it just gets messy, and you're just inviting mistakes and trouble to happen, or some sort of issue that can be avoided by just chucking in a handful of spare sleeves into your deck. So that's not too hard to do. Another thing to protect your sleeves and just general organization and cleanliness of the environment and all the rest of it is grab a playmat. You can get them pretty cheap online. You can get them as prizes for things. And, 10 years ago, nobody had a playmat, and the people that did, you kind of looked a bit sideways at, but now they're just everywhere. You can get Magic Beans playmats on our merch store, which is also pretty good. They're great. The one I've got here is a Nationals one. I normally take my Magic Beans one. It's a little bit bigger. I like it. Lets me organize things. But yeah, many playmats out there. So make sure you got your playmat. All pretty simple stuff at the moment. And people are like, oh, what's going on here? But it is 2021. We'll get into some things that we probably haven't really thought of in the past that, we probably need. And some things just based on my personal experience. So I'm going to stick with that. Stick with it to make sure we cover all the bases. Something really important. Really, really, really important that is often forgotten, and I've lost count of how many times somebody's asked me for these. Dice. So always bring dice, but not just, a bunch of D6s. Bring the appropriate dice for your deck, for what you're playing. Think about the deck that you're playing and bring the appropriate dice. Quick funny story about these dice for those listening in. They are kind of a baby vomit yellow with green dots. I deliberately bought these dice because I thought they were ugly, and I thought that would reduce the likelihood that, someone would accidentally, in air quotes, take them. So, but the week after I bought them, Stu, one of the other beans, had the exact same thought, rocked up with the same dice. So I've still been lucky that I've got still got the full complement of these dice. Had them for a couple of years now. So yeah, they've gone on many an Arcbound Ravager. So it's make sure you've got the dice that you need. When I was playing, for example, Crackland Ironworks, it wouldn't be a solo cast if I didn't mention Ironworks at some point, I guess. But I had a bunch of D20s representing each colour, so I could clearly indicate how much mana I had in my mana pool at any given time. So you just have the appropriate dice for your deck. Make sure you've got the right thing going. So that's also important. So, and no one wants to be that guy that says, hey, can I borrow your dice? And when we've got things, with a Courier where there's different types of counters and all the rest of it, it can get really messy. So have your dice, have your own dice, sort yourself out. It's good. Next thing, which I've got in here, these sweet Magic Bean sleeves. Check them out. Apologies again for those listening in. You can't see the glory that are these Magic Beans cups, Magic Bean sleeves. Tokens. If you've got a constructed deck, if you've gone to all of the hassle of building the deck, be that net decking it or building it yourself or just collecting the cards, borrowing the cards, all the rest of it, sleeving it up, registering it for an event. Go through your tokens that everybody's got a bunch of, right? Like if you've been playing Magic for any given time and you've opened more than a handful of booster packs, you've got a bunch of tokens around, or your friends do. Chuck them in some different types of sleeves than you've got your deck in, which is really important because you don't want them accidentally shuffled into your deck. And yeah, have the appropriate ones. So these are the ones from my Eldrazi Modern deck. So I've got a couple of Wormcoil tokens here, and I've got an Eldrazi Scion. So for those watching online, these are the tokens that Josh and Pat send out with their with your auction wins. So not only do you get great deals and content creators like ourselves that keep doing what we're doing through Josh and Pat's support, but yeah, you also get a bunch of sweet tokens. So yeah, check out Josh and Pat's. Shameless plug. Thank you to our sponsor. So, but that's the thing that really gets under my skin, if I'm honest. If you don't have that, if you don't have dice, you don't have your own tokens, you end up with like torn up pieces of paper with something written on it, and it gets really messy. Was that there from the last game? Is that tapped or not? I can't tell. Just have the appropriate gear. It's pretty important. Another thing that I've learned over the course of however many years I've been playing the game is to have at least 2 pens. So not just one pen. Don't just rock one pen. Bring at least 2, because one will get lost. You'll leave one behind. Someone will grab one to sign a match slip or whatever, and you'll never see it again. So have 2 pens, and then you've always got a backup. And one of your friends that you've rocked up to the event with inevitably forgets a pen, you can be the good mate and give them the pen. So always come packing with a couple of pens. And sometimes pens just fail. They just run out of ink mid-tournament, right? So you need to be able to have a spare. What are you writing on, I guess? So you need some way to record a life total. And sorry about the noise, but there's some electronic versions, and that may reduce the need for one of your pens, where you can get the little I don't even know what these things are called, but they're the little tablet things that you can write on, and they've got like an erase button and such. I've used this a few times. It's fine. I like to take notes, particularly when I'm playing in more competitive events, and it's harder to write notes. It's harder. Yeah, I don't know. They work fine for live totals, but I prefer, maybe I'm old, but I prefer a pen and paper. There's lots and lots of options out there. A lot of tournament organisers have their own life pads. You can just go to your news agency or supermarket and get a life pad. I've got a little collection. I've got this cool one that's actually a magic one. It's got Sarah Angel on it. Don't use that too often because I don't want it to run out. But yeah, it's one of my favourites. So yeah, make sure you get a way to record life totals and notes. It's really important to take notes during an event. If you've seen your opponent's hand or have you have that written down with you, it's really good. On Arena, it is it's all done for you. And if you're going to your first Magic tournament in paper, you may have played a whole bunch of Arena. You've probably discovered it through lockdown or what have you, and you want to take that leap and go and play in an actual event. So playing Arena with all those playing in paper instead of Arena with all those mechanics can be something really, really different. So it's really important to write that down, because you can't commit it to memory, because that card's not necessarily legal in the format. I surprised myself with my dumb jokes. All right, so that's kind of all of the basic logistics. So all of those things you should not come to a Magic tournament without. That's the absolute bare minimum, which is a bag to carry your stuff in, your deck, don't forget your deck, some spare sleeves, a playmat, the appropriate dice and tokens for your for the deck that you're playing, a couple of pens, and something to write on. That's absolute level 0. You need to have that. Some of these things the other things that I'll say here are a little bit of a nice to have, some of them, but I definitely recommend bringing them to an event, particularly a bigger event. If you're playing more than 4 rounds, absolutely must bring these things. So the first thing is really important is bring some water. I try to bring a litre of water. Not everywhere has a way to fill up water. It might only be a couple of bucks to buy a drink from your local game store in bottled water, and that's fine. But at larger events, it can be a lot more expensive if it's at a convention centre or something, or if it is just like tap water, you never quite know how good it's going to taste. And if it doesn't taste good, you're not going to drink as much water. So, if your water at home's good, pack a litre. If you find it heavy in your bag, just drink it, and you'll thank me later, because drinking water is good. So definitely recommend that. Another thing, and this might be my age coming through, but have some kind of like Panadol or ibuprofen, paracetamol, or something like that, because if you get a headache, it can kind of ruin your day. So use them sparingly, only use them when you need to, of course, but it's a really important thing to just look after yourself and get the most out of the day. If you're feeling garbage, you're not going to play well, you're not going to have a good time. So something as simple as a couple of Panadol can knock that off. I know that Panadol, paracetamol can be upsetting to some people's stomachs. So the next thing to bring is 100% bring snacks. I just grabbed some tiny teddies out of the kids' treat basket in our pantry. Not necessarily recommending something as sugary as tiny teddies, but just sort of representative of something that you might take as a snack. Bring something like a muesli bar, some nuts, a banana is a really good one. Try to avoid sugary things, just because they'll give you that spike of energy, but then you'll crash. So try to bring something a little healthier. I'm not a nutritionist, but sometimes you want something sweet as well. But if you're bringing that, try to bring something to balance that out, because it's you need to eat throughout the day. Not all Magic events have provisions for a lunch break, and depending on the format or the deck that you're playing, your rounds may go long and you don't get a chance to eat. And if you're playing long rounds, you need to be on the whole time. So you need to make sure that you are fueling your body. So food is good for that, water's good for that, and don't take any sort of Panadol without some food in your guts as well. So it just makes sense. So so definitely do that. Now we're getting into the whole, the world we currently live in, we'll be living in for the foreseeable future, which is need to bring hand sanitizer. Now, a lot of stores will have it, but these little tubes that fit in your bag, little vials, whatever they are, this one's got a little thing on it that can clip it to your bag with a carabiner if you want to. And you can just sanitize your hands periodically throughout the day. There's a lot of touching of cards, other people's cards. You've got to cut decks. You've got to, you're using the same space, all the rest of it. So just look after yourself and those around you. Just every round, once an hour, slap a bit of this on, and just do that little bit to protect yourself. And even pre-COVID, it was probably a good idea to do that, and just have a bit of a barrier, a bit of a shield around yourself, which is good. The next step in that particular bit is to have a mask. So I might be a little bit muffled here because I've actually got my mask on. I'm wearing a cloth mask. It's a cotton mask that is a 3-layered one. Really recommend these because the disposable surgical ones can cause a little bit of discomfort. I have stubble. I do not have a beard. Does not qualify as a beard, but think of the crackers or pollywaffles of the world that might have a beard. Shorty and I aren't really. We don't have that problem, but I find the cloth ones that can catch the hair on my neck. It's not very comfortable. So, and I know my wife has got quite sensitive skin, and she wears the surgical ones. She can get a bit of a rash. So cotton mask, better for the environment, will save you money in the long run and more comfortable to wear. So definitely worth the outlay. They only cost a few bucks. So yeah, grab yourself a mask as well. And, you know, even if it's optional in your tournament, you are sitting across the table sharing the same air as somebody. I can't tell you how many times I've gone to an event and I've come back with a cold, with a sore throat or something. And this is well before, you know, coronavirus was a thing. But so it's not a bad thing. Just wear a mask. It doesn't hurt anybody. There's no weird conspiracies. Just stop yourself getting sick. Stop making others sick. Makes sense. Something a little bit contradictory to the masks, but that rattle is for those listening in, is a packet of mints or some gum, something like that. If you're choosing not to wear your mask while you're at the table, if it is optional, it can be a long day, a lot of talking, you might have had a few coffees, your breath might be a bit stale, and you're sitting across the table from each other, so a little bit of courtesy, and to keep your own, keep your mouth from drying out and end up with cotton mouth from talking all day, take some mints. It's a really cheap, really simple thing to do. Just have some mints or some Chewy in your bag, and it's just legit better for everybody. And another thing that I've learnt to take over the years is a phone charger. Not necessarily a one to plug in the wall, but a battery bank and the appropriate cable. This one's a bit long, but yeah. The 5,000 milliamp battery chargers you can get on Amazon for like $10, and they'll charge your phone multiple times. So if you are at a longer event, you know, you might be crushing it and you want to live tweet all of your progress, or just, you know, you forgot to charge your phone the night before, whatever it might be. Mine just basically lives in my bag, and I periodically, when I clean out my bag after a few events, because you've got, you know, booster sleeves and food wrappers and stuff cleaned out. Yeah, I'll plug that in, and then you just chuck it in the next time. So I've forgotten it once or twice, but it's not been an issue. But yeah, probably 8 times out of 10, I've got that in my bag, and it's amazing how many people forget theirs, and it's just forget to charge their phone or need some help. And again, it's usually one of your friends. It's usually one of my friends, and you can get that cleaned up. So yeah, I hope that helps. So again, some of these things may seem pretty obvious, but these are targeted at newer players. So if you've never gone to an in-paper Magic tournament, I hope this was helpful. I hope to see you at an in-paper tournament. They are a lot of fun, and you know, it is Magic the Gathering, and that is where the game is at its best, where everybody gets to hang out and sling spells in person. So highly recommend doing that. So yeah, a quick recap: have a bag to carry everything in your bag. Have a deck, obviously. Don't forget your deck. Don't leave that at home. And deck list, if deck lists are required. A lot of places allow you to submit them online now, but yeah, make sure you got that. Playmat, dice, spare sleeves, 2 pens, all of your tokens, a way to record live totals, hydrate, make water really, really important, some snacks, some Panadol, some hand sanitizer, your mask, some mints, and a phone charger. Really, really simple things, really simple checklist. And I guess it is simple. Anything else beyond that, I've never needed. There may be some weird corner case where you do need it, but honestly, after 15 years of going to every different type of Magic tournament that there is, I've never needed anything beyond that list. So, as I mentioned at the start, you don't want too much stuff. You don't want your bag to be so full of stuff you're weighed down and you're a bit lopsided, and you end up with a sore shoulder, which throws your neck out, which gives you a headache, and you know, you just end up with this cascading, list of calamities, and you end up uncomfortable and not having a great time. So only bring what you need, but make sure you do have what you need. So yeah, that is our Evergreen series on what to bring to a paper Magic tournament. My name is Chewy, and you can find the Magic Beans. For those watching at home on YouTube, you can see on our sweet vinyl banner I've got behind me. You can find us on Twitter at Magic Beanscast, at twitch.tv/Magic Beanscast. If you're watching on YouTube, you've obviously found us before, give us a like and hit that subscribe button. If you want to follow me on Twitter, I am at ChewyMTG. You can check out our merch store where you can buy a Magic Beans coffee mug, some other stuff like mouse pads and play mats, which you can add to your going to tournament kits. Make sure you jump onto Facebook and give us a follow there. And whilst you're on Facebook, give Josh and Pat's MTG Bazaar a like, and you'll pick up some bargains on those cards that you're going to take to your physical Magic tournament, and tell them that the Beans sent you. Thanks very much for watching/listening. We will see you next time on the Magic Beans cast or here on YouTube. Thanks very much.